new book because we started Mr. Tannen's Tie, so that's the new story, and so we're starting a new book. So the book today is called The Bake Sale, and I don't want you to open it yet. It's called The Bake Sale, and it is a realistic fiction book, which means it's a made-up story, but it could really happen. That's right, it could really happen. And it's about a class that wants to go on a field trip, Rylan, and they want to go to the museum. What do you think a museum is? What is a museum?
Place where place that people go to look at stuff. Like they walk around and there's like different stuff.
There's different
I
stuff
once
to
went
look
to a
at.
place, but I
mess
shouldn't
with it.
go there ever again. It's a bad place.
It was a bad place. Okay.
It was a bad one
a
because
museum,
I like
you can-
saw like people.
I don't want to hear. 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 What kind of museum? What do you see in a museum that's not bad? What do you see in a museum? What do you see? Dinosaur bones. Yeah, dinosaur bones. What might you see in a museum?
You could see like a sword from ancient Egypt.
Ooh, a sword from ancient Egypt. I love it. What else could you
You can see crystals and diamonds.
Yes, they have a science museum where you see rocks.
You can see many type of animals, like type that's that's hard.
Different kinds of animals that maybe don't live anymore, right?
They look like statues.
They look like statues. Well, these children want to go on a field trip to a museum, and they find out that they don't have enough money. What does that remind us of? Mr. Tannen's Ties. So they don't have enough money. So their teacher says, let's come up with some ideas to go to make some money. And so they decide they're going to do a bake sale. What is a bake sale? What do you think that is? What's a bake sale? Landon, what do you think?
It's like cupcakes and muffins, like so we're like sweets like dessert.
So it's sweets, but what do they do with them? What do they do with them, Jabri?
They sell them.
They sell them and make money. Who makes the sweet stuff, Justin?
Chefs or like
Chefs?
people.
What if the class was having a bake sale? Who would make the stuff that we were going to sell?
The teacher or the
The
kids.
teacher? Not the teacher.
The kids.
The kids? Maybe the kids? Could it be the kids' moms? Right?
No, I know. I think I know.
What is
the
it?
cafeteria people.
Oh, maybe the cafeteria people? Okay.
Like the
So-
people in the kitchen.
They're going to have a bake sale in this book. Now, I want us to, first of all, I want to tell you a couple of things. There is a paper clip in your book because we're not going to read the whole book today because this is kind of a long story. So we're going to read part of the book today. The second thing I want to tell you is turn to page 2. I'm going to show you something on page 2. Because this book's kind of difficult to follow sometimes because
The words are small.
actually, it's on page 3, sorry. The words are small, but there's a lot of people talking at the same time. And so I want us to look at these things called quotation marks, and they look like this.
They look like a comma, but
They
they're
do
on
look,
top
but
of
they're
the
on
word.
top. Very good. So they're up here at the top, and if you look, you're going to see one right before the word do on page 3. And then it goes through, and there's a period, and then there's some more quotation marks. I'm not going to write the whole sentence. Oh, actually, this is does. Does everybody see that? Can you find the word does on page 3?
Does. It's
Does. Find the word does on
class.
page 3. Rylan, find the word does. Do you see it? Okay, do you see those little marks in front of it? Yeah, that is where somebody starts talking. They start talking. And then if you go to the end of the sentence, you'll see these little marks. And that's where they stop talking.
So it's
Oh, yeah.
like people having a conversation.
People having
one-
a
This
conversation.
one is
That's
talking
right.
to the first one.
So, Rylan,
This one is talking to the where is it?
Rylan, I want you to put your finger right there. I'm going to read this page to you, okay? Because there's a lot of people talking on this page. And when you get to it to read, I want you to understand, Rylan, what they're saying, okay? So just read along with me. I'm going to read it to you. It says, Mrs. Hawkins discussed the plan with the class. Does anyone have ideas for raising money? Asked Mrs. Hawkins. Hector said, do you see those quotation marks? This is where Hector starts talking. He says, we could have a car wash. And then he stops. You see those quotation marks? That's where he stops. And then it says, Janice said, there's where she starts talking, we could have a students against teachers softball game and sell tickets. And she stops talking. So how many people talked on this page?
3.
Three. The teacher talked, and Hector talked, and Janice talked. So we have to kind of watch those things, because if not, it'll all run together and it gets confusing. Okay? What's softball anyway? It says they played softball. What's softball? You don't know? Do you know what's baseball?
Hit the
It's where you hit the ball.
I have a
Baseball.
softball, but I don't
It's
have.
not the same, I bet you, Rylan, because the softball's not really soft. Baseball has, Japriest, baseball uses a small baseball, but softball uses a little bit of a bigger ball. And most of the time, girls play softball and boys play baseball, most of the time. But it's a bigger ball. Okay? You still hit it and you still run. It's the same as baseball. Okay, so today, as you are reading, there's a couple of things I want you to remember. First of all, Rylan, I want you to watch for those quotation marks and think about who's saying what in the book. Secondly, if you come to any words that you don't know, I want you to chunk those up into the parts that you do know. If you have to stop and figure out a word, you always want to go back in. Reread. Restart it, reread it so that it makes sense. When you get to that paper clip, I want you to stop and go back to the beginning, okay? Don't you read past the paper clip, because that's for tomorrow and I don't want you to ruin tomorrow. It's a secret what's behind there, Justin. Don't read it, okay? Okay. When I get to you, I want you to read a little bit louder, but when I'm not with you, I want you to read softly, okay? Okay, Justin, I'm going to start with you. Everybody open to that first page and start reading. Rylan, I shouldn't hear you. I'm ready. Of course, starting with Justin. Go ahead, Justin. What do you think her name is?
It's too confusing. I
It
don't
is?
know what HAW means, and
Well, where's the part
but I
you do
do
know?
need this.
What's that say?
Kins.
Kins. Oh, good. AW says aw, like you're holding a baby.
Hawkins?
Hawkins. In Spanish, we don't say the H, do we?
Nope.
No, but in English we do, so it's Hawkins. Ms. Hawkins
Wanted to take her class on a field trip to the museum, but there was not enough money in the school budget for field trips. Mrs.
Hawkins.
Hawkins knew the class would have to raise money for the field trip. They could start a field trip fund.
Find the word you know in that word. You know okay. What else do you know?
Fund.
Fund. Now put the ending on.
Fund.
Fund. And a fund is when you're getting money together, Justin, and you're putting it together in a little lump so you can use it for something.
Or
like
you're,
Mr.
like you're
Tanner.
getting something together.
Yeah, getting that money together, like when you put it in your bank and you're going to spend it for something. That's your fund. Okay, go ahead.
Mrs. Hawkins discussed the plan with the class. Does anyone have ideas for raising money? Asked Mrs. Hawkins.
I like how you did that question.
Walker
I think it's called H.
said we could have a car wash. Jay said we could have a students against teachers softball game and sell tickets.
You're skipping pages. Go.
Mrs. Hawkins thanked Hope and Jessup their ideas.
Good.
It is winter, and winter is not the right time for a car wash or a softball. She explained. Then she repeated her question. Does anyone have other ideas for raising money? Tanya raised her hand. We could have a bake sale to raise money. She
What's Suggested. Good job, Justin. Keep going. All right, mister. Let me see what you got. Landon, read loudly for me.
That sounds like a plan that can work, said Miss Watkins. The class agreed. They made a list of what each student would bake. We'll run a test. And Miss Watkins
What is this word?
said,
Read that again.
"We'll run a test," said Miss Watkins. "Please plan to bring in a sample of your baking."
What do you think that means? Please plan to bring in a sample of your baking. What do you think a sample is? Let's read the next sentence and see if that helps us. Read the next part.
We can try the food before the bake sale next week.
What's a sample?
Food
They're going to bring it in first. A sample would mean I'm going to bring my cupcakes in and I'm going to let you taste them before we decide to sell them to make sure they're good, right? So we're going to taste what each other makes. So that's what a sample is. A sample of your baking. You want to read it again? Start right here. Please.
plan to bring a sample of your baking. We can try the food before the bake sale next week.
Excellent. Turn the page. All right, I'm going to scooch it on down. Bruce, where are you at? Can you do this page for me? A little louder.
The students came in with boxes and bags. They set the food out on a table. Everyone tried it. "These muffins are burned," said Silvani. "I guess I left them in the oven too long," Tina said. "These cookies have no taste," said Richard. "I think I forgot to put the sugar," Lynn said. "My cupcake is too soggy," said Aunt. "Maybe I mixed the batter too long," Dustin said.
What are we finding out about their baked goods?
It's not tasting right.
It's not tasting right. Are they going to be able to sell it if it's not good?
No.
Oh no. Keep going. Mahani, where are we? Let's go back a couple so I can hear you read. Can you read this page? Go ahead. Look at that word. Does that say not? Read that again.
This cookie has no taste, said Richard. "I think that forgot to put the sugar in," said this cupcake is too soggy.
What do you think soggy means? This cake's too soggy. What do you got me? Not to you. What does that mean? Soggy. What if the ground's too soggy? What do you think that means if it's too soggy? It means it's squishy and wet. So the cupcake's squishy. It doesn't taste like cake. It's squishy. What's the rest say? Reread.
Everyone was disappointed
Does that make sense? Read that again. Hector was starting at the food. Does that make sense? How do I know this isn't starting? Look at that word. Let's look at it on my board. Oh, how do you know it's staring? Look at that word. It doesn't have a T in there, so it can't be starting, right? And we don't starting at food. Can he stare at the food? Yeah. Okay. Read that sentence again. Hector
was staring at the food. He said he won't
Benny, good.
money if our food tastes like this. Mr. Hawkins had a solution. A friend of mine is a baker. I will ask you to give us a baking lesson. Then we'll be ready for our bake sale.
Good job. Keep going. I want you to start at the beginning. Don't you read past my cheating me. Don't cheat me. Read again. Okay, go ahead, Rylan.
After Judas were their ideas. It is winter and there's not the right time for a car wash or softball game. She explained and then she repeated her question. Does anyone have any ideas for raising money? Tina raised her hand. Where could they sell for raising money?
Oh, read that sentence again. Read that sentence again.
We should have
Look at that word. There you go.
have a big sale to raise money. She suggested.
Excellent.
That sounds like a plan that can work, said Miss Hawkins. The class agreed. They made a list of each student's would a list of what each student would bake.
Good.
We will run a test, said Miss Hawkins. Please plan to bring a sample of the baking. We can try the food before the bake sale next week.
I like how you string your words together and it sounds like talking, Rylan. You get a little fast though. Your brain gets a little faster than your mouth. Then you skip words sometimes.
Stop at 9 or
Yeah, right there's good. Thank you. That's okay. Did I give you the one without the clue? You're supposed to stop right there. Give me that. Cheater. All right, you can shut your books for me. Shut your books for me. A couple of things. You know what I noticed? When Justin is reading, he read the question. Like, he read the question. He said, does anyone have any other ideas for raising money? He asked that question, and it sounded like a question when he read that, right? I also noticed that Justin also did, well, let's show him yours first. Mahani did this. When he read this word, he said it said starting, but he knew that that didn't make sense in a sentence. So we wrote it, and he said it can't be starting. Why? Because there's, didn't have a T right there. Starting, right? Starting. So he figured that out. And then Justin didn't know her name. Which, if we don't know a name, can we just call her Miss H? Sometimes you call me Miss A, right? It's okay. He didn't know this word, but he said, I know this says kins. Does anybody know what AW says? Aw. Everybody hold your baby. Say, aw. That's what that says. Aw. Hawkins. So he figured it out by breaking the word, which is what I wanted you to do. So, nice job, Mr. Justin. All right, so I have a question for you. What were some ideas that they had in the beginning of this story? What were some ideas the kids had to raise money? What were some ideas?
Some of them said, let's sell tickets.
To what? Let's sell tickets to what? Softball game. What else did they say we could do to raise money?
We can do a baking sale.
They did say that, but what did they say before the bake sale?
They said we can do a car wash.
Car wash. And Justin, the teacher, said, those are not good ideas. Why?
Because it was winter.
And why can't you have a car wash in the winter?
Because the water will freeze into ice and softball will be too cold and the plant will be way too cold.
Way too cold. So we had to do something inside. So they decided on a bake sale. What happened when they brought in some samples of their food? What did they find out about that? That's going to be a problem,
They
Rylan.
went wrong because it was like burned, mushy, and soggy, and like
Nobody wants to eat that.
has no taste.
Exactly. It has no taste. It's soggy. And Mahani and I talked about soggy means it's too squishy. It's too squishy to eat.
And I heard it.
It's too soggy. So what are they going to do to make their food better? What's going to be the solution to the problem? Because the problem is they can't bake, right? So what's going to be the solution to that problem? What are they going to do, Landon?
They're gonna fix everything they missed
How are they going to do that? How are they going to fix it, Landon?
by refixing it in their class.
They're going to refix it in the class. They're going to cook it all in the class. I don't think so. They don't have an oven. What are they going to do, Mahani?
The teacher said she'll bring her friend to help because she's a baker.
She's going to bring her friend to help because she's a baker. And the baker's going to give them some lessons so that their food is better and that people will buy it. So tomorrow when we read, we're going to find out if they learned a lesson or if their food is still nasty. Right? Yes, Mom. Caprice.
How did she bake? How did they make the food if they don't have a
They made it at home and then they brought in a sample. So they make it at their house and then you put it in a container and you bring it in. Just like if I was going to make you cupcakes, I would make them at home, right? I wouldn't make them in the classroom. Mahani?
How do they bring the stuff? Like they don't know if they're having a field trip.
They don't know yet. Because what do they have to do?
Get the money.
They have to get the money. Are they going to sell that nasty food? No, so they have to get better at making food before they can make money. Landon?
I didn't think I heard we read the farmers who still have friends.
You probably missed that page because you didn't have a paper clip, and that's my fault, and I apologize. I'll make sure you have one tomorrow, and you can read that page. Justin, last question.
I tell you what, in the picture in the where there was a clip, every single student was together.
They were.
It means they weren't doing that at home.
Oh, because why?
I don't know.
Oh, let's look at that page. I know the page you're talking about. This page right here, which we're going to read tomorrow, shows all the kids together with the baker. So, are they learning the lesson together? Where are they learning the lesson?
At the bakery?
Maybe at the bakery. Maybe the
maybe at
teacher took them to
school.
the bakery, or they met at the bakery. Maybe at school.
In the kitchen at school.
They could practice in the cafeteria at school, as long as they had a baker with them, right? You can't just go in there by yourself. But if we had the teacher and the baker, they might let us use the cafeteria to practice. So that's probably what they did. Justin, that's called inferring. You know why? Because it doesn't tell us in the story where they are. So tomorrow, when you're reading, it's not going to say where they were. That was good thinking about where they were. Yeah. Okay, so tomorrow we'll finish reading, and then we're doing a retell, because that's what we're working on this week, right? That's what we worked on last week. Okay, you're good. Give me a high five. You're out. See you tomorrow.